anyways, it's been a slow news week, but this does actually help bring us into the meat, which we're very excited about. So we're going to be playing this game today and it's basically very simple. Is it a gimmick? And Gloria and I have signs. These are all upside down. Gloria and I have signs, and we're going to say the topic. And then on the count of 3, Gloria and I will both say and hold up how we feel about it. Mm-hmm. All right. So I gotta also remember which one is which. Mm-hmm. All right. So the first topic is acne patches. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, legit. Yeah, and I think the follow-up question that Ava so kindly asked is, are they all created equal?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And I think acne patch, the thing to remember is like, I almost held up both of them because it kind of depends on what you expect from them. Because ultimately they kind of shield you from outside aggression. Well, it could be aggression if you're an active picker. So it kind of acts as a shield. Some do have components that's supposed to kind of dry out skin a little bit, help suck up that pus if it's a very active, angry, inflamed acne, but it's not something that will replace other topicals for long-term acne care.
Yeah. You also hear about patches that talk about this kind of like microneedle component, where it's like minute deliveries of like salicylic acid or some sort of topical ingredient. And that's where it gets very tough because, you know, that material, the amount of topical, I think for me personally, I wouldn't necessarily make that a priority. You're really just using the hydrocolloidal patch more as, you know, protection from people like myself who might touch my face, and especially touch it more when acne is on my face. And then, oral absorption. Yeah. Cool. So just to follow that, in terms of gimmick, the next one is toothpaste for acne a gimmick? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it is a gimmick. I think it's one of those trends before TikTok. We probably heard about it through YouTube.
You also sound like, I feel like a grandma for saying this.
I know.
But I'm like, kids are still using toothpaste back in my day.
Yeah, toothpaste, baking soda, those go hand in hand.
You know what's funny is I've always shared that I have dry skin. I don't really get acne. I had the occasional couple growing up. And what's interesting is I complained to one of my friends with a lot of acne back in school. It's like when I have the occasional one angry acne, I don't know what to do with it. So then I actually have done all of those things because I don't get it. I don't get it regularly enough to get like a salicylic acid face wash or acne treatment because those will dry out my face too long term. But if I have one really big angry one, I will grab that toothpaste. I've done the whole crushed aspirin thing where I'm like, does it help? Yeah, it didn't. And I was like, okay.
Guys, oh no. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, well, there might be a component of it where it does help mildly with oil absorption. We'll say, yeah, this is a gimmick. It's not going to be the thing that quickly erases, your acne lesion. So let's let that die. All right, I think this one's a good one. Next one is tea tree oil. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, legit. So, and I would say legit-ish.
Yeah, I was like...
Yeah, so there actually are a few studies on tea tree oil. I think the issue here is tea tree oil pure is very strong. It actually can cause burns and so you'll often find it diluted, or they'll recommend you to dilute it. So you'll find anywhere between I think the highest amount you want to go for is 10%. So yeah, but there is some data on how it can serve as an antibacterial, and so that, it is something that's worth a try. But again, these are all things that are like nothing would ever replace your actual acne heavy hitters like BPO and adapalene. All right, cool. And I think this one is because Gloria loves this one. Okay, this is those mysterious clays that you see on TikTok where can they actually erase your pores and make them less visible? Yeah. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
finish watching them.
Yeah, we're gonna show a video of that happening.
Oh my god, they're hilarious.
They're also so bossy.
Yeah, they're clearly not based in the country.
Yeah.
But I think they're hilarious, and because I always finish watching them, they keep serving the same ads to me, and it's like essentially it's almost like when you Photoshop an image and you have a brush over it, that's exactly what it does. Yeah. They'll show a clay mask or something, and then they wipe it off, and then at the same time it's like skin went from peppery to smooth.
It's amazing because you'll see the texture of skin, and all of a sudden there's zero texture in skin. Yeah,
someone found a filter button between before and after, and that's exactly what it looks like. And I think they're hilarious because, like, a part of me is like, people don't fall for that, right?
But when you get desperate enough, I feel like they'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna get that, but maybe I'll get
somewhere in between that. I get that. So I think pores is also a notoriously difficult problem in skincare. We've never dedicated a whole meat of the podcast to this because there isn't a ton of great, fantastic news.
Let us know if you want to hear a rant about your pores.
Yeah. So there's things you can do to minimize the appearance thereof and to make sure that you're taking care of skin to the best of your ability, but nothing is gonna erase pores per se. And when you're talking about clinically proven to shrink pore size or shrink the appearance of pores, it's they'll talk about 20% reduction. But from a visibility standpoint, it's not gonna go from, oh, I have more pores than I want to no pores at all. So it's unfortunately just one of those issues where you can do your best, but it's not gonna get to the polished egg skin type of look.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is, like, especially with blackheads, they are so stubborn that a lot of times we have to suggest using both chemical and mechanical exfoliation. And it's not something that's gonna just be gone overnight. It's something that it's kind of just this it takes a lot of diligence and also a balance, because if you over exfoliate, then that only makes your situation worse.
I have dry skin, but I'm very prone to blackheads. I'm getting to a point where I don't really care anymore.
Because this is only me.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty minimalistic in my skincare, but if I'm like in a mood of getting rid of my blackhead, it's like a 12-step routine. You like warm the skin, you dehydrate it with the clay mask, you use a chemical exfoliant, you let that soak in, and then you take it off, and then you scrub it. It's a whole thing.
Gloria, did you ever use nose strips?
I have. They don't work.
They also can like really take skin off.
Yeah.
That happened before.
I've used one where it's not like, it doesn't come in a strip, it's like a gel form. It's like I don't know if you remember that video that went viral of someone that used a peel-off mask.
The black.
And the lady starts like screaming.
Bloody murder.
It literally peeled it up, like, ah! I've used that for my nose. And it wasn't that bad. Not as bad as that lady had it. But it's like, it took out more skin than blackhead, so it made the blackheads look even angrier. Yeah, it's like now it's like 3D blackhead rather than 2D, because everything else is gone. But yeah, it's a whole thing. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? I do my best. I already like exfoliate enough, and I think I do decently for the rest of my skin. Tinted sunscreen will do the job.
Actually, that's a good point.
Oh, sorry. One more thing is, like, I mentioned the 3D blackheads. That's the only thing that I care about really getting rid of now, because, like, even then, if you want to cover it up, if you have that blackhead texture, it will show up. The powder will gather around it. So that's the only thing I when it comes to exfoliating and stuff, I prioritize not drying out skin. But as long as there isn't like a mushroom patch, and I'm okay.
Also, fun fact, in Visia and clinical testing, they actually have a light setting that can basically highlight your blackhead.
I don't like it.
And it's really unsettling. It makes you feel like you should scrub your face off.
So those of you looking at sunscreen, you're probably like, what are you guys talking about? Your skin looks pretty good. Yeah, well, it's because there isn't a Visia type light on it. I still remember when we worked at L'Oreal, and They walk through a lot of the clinical equipment that people have to measure skin, and they let you experience it. And like I pop my head in the Vizia. It's like a control lighting thing, and there's a lot of different settings. And a very basic one looks like UV damage, kind of like under the skin, so pigmentation you can't see with the visible eye. Yeah. She literally turned on that filter and went, "Whoa."
Jeez, keep it in, woman. I mean, you guys will see it when we do the sunscreener. You'll see that suddenly you'll see all the underneath pigmentation. Not nice. And then the worst part about the blackhead part is that the blackhead lighting,
they glow.
It's neon. So it's like extra annoying. But anyways, all right, we digressed. Going back to, is it a gimmick? We're going to move on from acne. And the next one we want to know is anti-pollution skincare. I think this one's like might need more context, but all right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Gimmick. I have both, maybe?
Yeah, I kind of have legit in the background.
Yeah, and to explain, it's because the skincare itself, anyone that, for the most part, those that use it as a marketing claim, there's no real testing behind any of that. But pollution's impact on skin is a real thing. You want to go into that, Gloria?
Yeah, so I think in our early days we did a few posts and maybe a podcast about this. Excuse me. But there are actually a lot of interesting studies that measure the impact of pollution. It goes from big population studies where they go to people who live in big cities, kind of compare how their skin ages versus people in the countryside. And then there's more control studies where you expose your skin to a heavy dose of pollutants, such as sticking your arm in a chamber full of cigarette smoke. I don't know who's smoking in there. It might be digital, but to see how it affects skin. And time and time,
like an old lady, all right, what do you need?
It's like, I got a 4-pack today. That's all. I'm pretty sure they just light it up and let it go. But
you gotta listen to this old woman.
You just sit there, all right, honey. She gets paid to smoke a 12-pack every day. That's messed up. Anyway, so in these like chambers, you get exposed to a higher dose than you normally would, but it's a good way to kind of see in this accelerated setting what it does for skin. And time again, doesn't matter the study type, it showed that pollutants of all types accelerate skin aging, and the first signs that you'll see is typically pigmentation. If they do biopsies, they can sometimes show that collagen degradation might be an issue as well, which insinuates that it does cause aging. Now on the product side, they're like, oh wow, no, that's really bad. I think people should wash their faces and wear sunscreen.
I mean, to be fair, there are a few ingredients out there that actually have been looked at for this, but actually translating that into testing, like kind of Gloria was saying, it's very creative. There's no like real standardized way of doing this because ultimately it's a chronic issue. It takes a much longer time frame to really establish. And also because we know that pigmentation can be caused by other issues, it's really hard to say like, oh yes, this is strictly from an anti-pollution angle. So it's again one of those claims in skincare where you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, there are ingredients out there. What they claim is it kind of acts as a simple like shield on your skin that prevents permeation of pollutant particles.
But then, you don't really see that. I don't think any brand is really going to those lengths to prove that. On top of that, that's why they're like, well, sunscreen acts like a film, right? So that totally works. And if you wash your skin of these pollutants, then that should work. And in some ways that is true. But yeah, so again, kind of one of those things where you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wash your face and wear sunscreen.
Yeah. All right. Next one. So this one is blue light protection skincare. All right. 3, 2, 1. Gimmick. Yeah.
This one actually really annoys
me. There's no legit to follow up with. None of that for Gloria. It's like hard gimmick.
Yeah. I get really annoyed with this one because some people get like a whole kick out of it. Like their whole brand is, I don't know.
I think during COVID was its biggest spotlight because everyone spent so much time at home, and instead of the sun being a major issue, it was about your computer screens. And it's very important to know that that amount is so minimal and so insignificant in comparison to the blue light you may actually be getting from the sun. You know, so in that sense, we're like, nah. Yeah, that just don't even pay any mind.
Yeah, in a recent episode, we talked about the UV Milk, the new sunscreen from La Roche-Posay that covers all the way up till the edge of the visible light spectrum. So to us, that's kind of interesting. And there are like studies that kind of show these like more energy intensive visible light, such as blue light, does cause skin damage. But as Victoria said, you get it more from just day-to-day living life than from your screens. Yeah. So the source and how much your screen damage your skin is a little overblown. And then secondly is like the how, right? Because in terms of filtering out UV light, the most direct way is anything tinted, anything makeup. Those things do kind of block some of that out. Yeah, and then in terms of other positioning against blue light, some people will just turn to good old antioxidants. So it's kind of like the anti-pollution thing. It's like, wash your face, wear sunscreen, and moisturize your skin. You should be fine. And I think,
I believe in the pollution part impact much more than blue light.
Yes, absolutely. And then another thing is, I think brands just like they overstate what kind of, because blue light protection isn't something that anyone is really measuring, like how much are you being exposed to, but it's not like a sunscreen test where you have a source of blue light and you measure how much you block out. They don't do that. We got a tip for the brand once in a blue moon way back in the day where we kind of went
they weren't too heavy.
Hey, your blue light protection claim is, we just made a whole thing about blue light about how that claim isn't super valid. You got very mad, said that they're how can you slander our products, it's very well tested, yada yada yada. We're like, okay, show us the data,
show us how you tested it.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to learn too. We're more than happy to issue a correction and even do a whole promo on your methodology if you want to share with us. Crickets after that.
The thing is, like, and that's a really good point, and kind of the issue with anti-pollution is like there's no standardized method because there's no good understanding of blue light and how it would be measurable in terms of impact on skin. And that's why like we've asked those questions too in terms of asking third-party clinics like how can a brand even be able to make that claim, and it's flexible. So I don't know how else to like nicely put it.
Bendy. It's like my fig tree that's up there. It's very bendy.
Picture a fig tree here. Yeah, so this is definitely one of those where we just wouldn't look at. I will say I am just so amazed. Sometimes I'm like I want to defend users in this industry because I'm like, they literally went from eye care, blue light protection to skincare, and I'm like, man, that's just preying upon like other trends and trying to like make a quick buck, and it irks me to no end.
We should get a Shane Bell or something. Anyway.
Anyway, so we're moving on. All right, next one. DIY skincare. All right. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Yeah, we think it's a gimmick.
The end.
A lot. Most of it.
For the most part, I think it definitely ranges from harmless, fun things you can do at home to holy crap, please don't do that.
Yep. I think when Gloria is saying harmless, that these are things that usually involve honey, because honey can be seen as a humectant, and they usually mix it with oats or, some sort of milk, and we'll just say make it fresh. Use it once. Yeah, move on. Yeah. don't
reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
Make a cookie while you're waiting for it.
Yeah. Put it in a smoothie. So those are, we would say, generally harmless. There is one DIY.
I was just going to say, that's such a good point. I think sometimes I don't really care about DIY stuff, but I also didn't see the harm in it until I realized some people are storing it in a jar.
Yeah.
And
our jobs, one of the big part of our job is to make sure nothing grows in your formulas. And I'm sure you all know that things love to grow in food. So, yeah. All right. So there's that. The other thing I will say is this is not skin. So that's why I still think, in skin it's gimmick. But coconut oil in hair is very helpful. The molecule and structure itself does very well for that sort of hydration and nourishment. So that would be the one thing, if I wanted to put an asterisk to this category, is that.
I can't do it. You know what?
You smell like coconut shrimp.
Yeah, I'm like, I got a good Bahama breeze.
It's so true. It's such a signature scent. Okay. But there is one DIY that we will absolutely bash, and Gloria herself has witnessed it firsthand.
If you sell a homemade sunscreen, I'm sorry. But no, you see a lot of recipes online, and you can find peddlers of it at farmers market or like handcraft shops. DIY sunscreen is an absolute no-go. And we have met people that's like, oh, you're a skincare chemist. Isn't that just like adding zinc to lotion?
And putting it in a blender?
It is not. Don't do that. And you're 99% guaranteeing that you're not getting the protection you think you're getting.
Yeah.
If you're storing it, a lot of recipes online just blend zinc oxide into some sort of oil you can buy.
Yep.
Even if it turns out to be kind of like a balmy type of texture, zinc oxide is very heavy. It can settle in your formula over time. So even if it's well blended, by the time you by the time you put it on your skin, what level of that zinc oxide that is, who knows?
Yeah.
Not to mention, in actual formulas that you buy on the market, there's other things that help it glide into an even film. When you're blending with a kitchen blender in just like coconut oil, whatever, it's very unlikely that it's gonna sit on your skin in even film.
But Gloria, I can just simply shake it up very vigorously and it will be uniform, right? No, please don't do that.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Your arm does not go as fast as something that's electric powered.
I'm sorry, when you say your arm.
If it is, vibrators will be out of business. So let's keep moving along, shall we?
You said it. I was thinking it, but I'm like...
I was like thinking about this motion. I was like, just a lot of things. It needs to be battery powered.
All right. Anyways.
Yes. Anyway, it's not a good idea. Skin cancer is no joke. Sun protection is very serious, so definitely don't go that route.